One. All right, what's up, guys? It's your boy Steve.
Boy Greg.
All right, we're doing something a little different today. It's been a while. Hope everybody's staying safe during this coronavirus. Obviously, things have been looking up for everybody, and hopefully that this thing ends pretty soon. Obviously, it's not going to end soon, but things will get better really fast. And I've been working. Greg's been grinding. We've been working out at the track because that's all we can really do. It's hard for us trying to find ways to grind and get better with reading and all that. Obviously, you tell them, what you've been up to, how you've been.
I've been good, man. I hope everybody out there is staying good, staying healthy. I've been trying to make use of my time, like everybody's. I would assume they're doing, and we have all this free time now that we're at home, so I'm just here working on skills, working on some things for maybe when all this whole thing is over behind us, that I'll be able to share with y'all. So it's music related, and I'm keeping busy reading books, working out with Steve, trying to stay in shape still. I can't stop the grind and all that. But that's basically what I've been doing. Just trying to make use of the time that we have, because you never know. We like this time that we have now. We're probably never gonna get this time back. This is so much free time to work on stuff, and it's just it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to like focus in on something without having outside distractions almost.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I've been trying to tell people on my my Monday motivation stuff. It's just like for people to, really try to take this time to work on themselves. Your faults, your insecurities. Like, we're not talking and coming to physical contact with each other, but like obviously you can still reach out to people, but taking this time to really get in tune with yourself and figure out what really gets you going, doing things that you may, like you said, never have the time to get to do stuff, but we're actually like getting that time. And I've gotten like pretty personal. I didn't share too much, but I've shared some of my things that I'm working on and trying to get better at. But and then obviously I've been saying I'm reading. I'm trying to stay mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually intact with myself. So, it's good to hear that you're doing good. I'm saying, like I said, same thing. I'm trying to add more stuff. I'm doing another podcast tomorrow, hopefully an interview, and I'm doing an IG live workout with Derek Needham, my former teammate from college, 7-year pro. He's on the national team for Montenegro. And then I'm going to hopefully get a podcast on Zoom with him just to pick his brain and like for him to tell his story. And then like right now, before we got on this, I was breaking down film of Devin Booker in college. So I'm going to have another video breakdown for NDO, No Days Off Training, breakdown, jump shot reads, and moving without the ball again, just because I feel like a lot of players don't know how to move without the ball. And this is a great time for players to develop skill-wise in terms of ball handling. But if you can't get the physical aspect, you can get the mental part. So, but today's episode is called the review of episode 1 and 2 of The Last Dance, Michael Jordan. The biggest, huge hype, everyone was talking about it. ESPN reported that it had like 6 million views. That's the most ever for a documentary. And I mean, me and Greg are basketball buffs, so we knew a lot of what MJ, did and what he went through. But there's a lot of kids now. This generation has grown up on Kobe and LeBron. So, I mean, they've heard Michael Jordan. If you're a basketball player, you know Michael Jordan. Everyone says he's the GOAT. But not everybody's actually watched him and can actually be open-minded enough to understand what he was doing. And I think the documentary, even for me, like it opened my eyes like, yo, this dude was like, I knew he was like the GOAT, but like he might be, I think, like it's bringing back now. It's like understanding, like, all right, yeah, I think might be MJ Kobe kind of, it's crazy,
Yeah,
So I mean,
yeah,
like you saw it, like what were your initial thoughts?
yeah. So I mean, growing up, we were born in '92, so we, I
Probably
think when, yeah, I think when, well, I can't. I'll speak for myself. When I started watching basketball, that was like the last 2 seasons
yeah,
MJ's
same.
career. So we didn't get the full picture as a kid. You're a kid, you don't fully understand what's going on. But as you grow older and stuff, and you start, realizing what was going on during that time, it's just crazy. And then now, you know, with social media, you hear all these. They have more access to like these interviews with people who Michael Jordan played with, and they telling all these stories, and you're just like, all these legends, myths. It's you finally get to see a glimpse of that through this documentary. That's what I look forward to most watching this documentary. I knew who Jordan was. I knew what he was capable, and I knew what he was doing at that time. So a lot of the stuff is not, it's not new to me, but it's kind of refreshing and still eye opening. Because you're not only you're seeing it through the documentary, but you're hearing stories about these other teams and what he's doing to them, and all the type of trash talk he's talking, and all this other stuff, and it's just buffing his legendary status even more.
Facts.
So yeah, that's what I thought about it. The first 2 episodes, at least. Because
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't. The only things I mean, we'll talk more into it, I guess, as we go along. The only things was more the back, like off the court issues that obviously you don't
You didn't
obviously you
know.
don't
I
you're
had
not
no
gonna.
idea about that.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I thought that he just wanted to retire after the second three-peat, and that was it. Well, I didn't know any of this backstory, so it is interesting to watch.
yeah, and just like, so we'll get into that really quickly. So like it starts off we'll go over the first episode. It starts off with like the 97-98 season. They had camera guys follow them, give them access to the locker room and all access treatment, whatever. And it just starts right away into like the drama, like
Right.
why would Bulls want to rebuild? Jerry Kraut, he was the guy who kind of put the team together, but he was the reason why it was falling apart. And they had aging stars, and do they want to keep guys together? So, off the bat, it was like, whoa, what? This kind of threw me off guard. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like you said, I thought like MJ wanted to retire, but we find out he was underpaying Scottie Pippen, which we'll get to later. And he wanted Phil Jackson out. And
Right.
Michael Jordan was like, I'm not playing anywhere without Phil Jackson.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was just like this guy, and I want to bring this up now. So I saw while I was watching on Twitter, like I was going through my timeline, and I saw somebody tweet it, and I had to bring it up because I wanted to show everybody. So the bad guy in Space Jam is Mr. Swackhammer, and they have pictures of Jerry Kraut. He was the GM, right?
Yeah,
He was the
yeah.
GM of the Bulls
Yeah.
from like 90 or 85, 84, 83, 83 to like 2003 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And he looked, the cartoon, the alien, if you guys know Space Jam, which was one on when we had our podcast a long time ago about movies to watch, Space Jam was on it. But he reminisced, like he literally, if you saw pictures, they looked alike. So it made me wonder if like MJ kind of like had an input on Space Jam, was like, hey, this is about him being controlling. And the guy in the movie was like controlling, wanted to take power, was like, oh, this is what I want. This is what you're going to do. Kind of like how they were kind of talking about him. Now they were saying he's a good guy, but business wise, he was kind of a dick and didn't
Yeah.
the right way. So I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Like, I thought that was just funny.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when you brought it up for the first time, you know, I got, you know, memories running through my mind of the pictures of the villain in Space Jam.
Yeah,
because he was like short, fat,
short, fat, just like
short,
him,
fat
right?
with the suit and all that, and it was just funny. It was a funny comparison, but you know, maybe it is a representation of him.
Yeah, but we don't. I thought he was gonna say something like, you get what I'm saying? I was like,
yeah. Maybe it will. Maybe when the episode goes into like his off years, they'll talk about that, the Space Jam.
Maybe,
So
hopefully,
maybe we'll get more insight on that, because that is an interesting comparison.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's but yeah, I think Jerry Krause was you know, you got to give him respect, because he did put that team together.
He did.
But then you know, like you know, he's just I don't know if it was like, oh, they're getting too much attention, so he's trying to break it up. He wants more like respect on his name, so he's trying to shake things up and do something. You know, I don't know. Maybe we'll find out more, but
yeah, they were. I mean, sorry. Like, I checked if he was still alive. He actually passed away, so I don't know if they were able to like get him on, you know, to talk. But I remember one of the things was like he made a comment to the press, and the press released it, and they were saying like, players and coaches don't win championships; it's the organization,
right?
And so people took that the wrong way, especially Michael. And you know, I just felt that like I get what he was saying, like it's a team effort, but the main thing is if you put a good team together on the court, then you can have success everywhere else.
Management.
So, I mean, I get both, but like you got to be smart. I think GM's a toughie. It's like a coach. You got to be careful what you say, because your team will react. You know?
Yeah.
So, so yeah, going forward, so they went like the other thing that bothered me with this was like the timeline thing, right? So they started in 97, then go back to 83, then back to like 92, then back to 85. It's kind of confusing. Like, I'm just like, I mean, what are your thoughts about that? Like,
yeah, I think well, since I don't know what the I don't know what to say, but like how it was formatted or whatever. But yeah, it kind of made sense in the beginning. Obviously, they want to start with the last season, because that's what the whole documentary is about. They want to grab your attention, saying with all this drama and stuff, and you know, and then obviously the first episode was how, you know, I think it did the first episode have Jordan's upbringing, or was it the second? Or maybe both of them. I think
it might have been a little bit of both. I think it was more so. I want to say it was more the second. According to my notes, it was more of the second.
More the second.
I think.
Yeah, I think.
Twitter's talking about competitiveness and his brother and things like that.
Yeah, I guess the first episode was just his rookie year. That's what they were. That's where they went back to. So yeah, it was. So, you know, I guess they were trying to go through MJ's career, and then the first episode they go back to his rookie year, and then second episode they bring up Scotty's upbringing. Then might as well bring up Jordan's upbringing.
Yeah,
and then it was Jordan's second year. So the third episode, maybe
it was the second. It was the second episode we're talking about. I have it in my notes right here.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's the kind of format they're going in. They're just, and then obviously they're bringing everything, trying to correlate everything to the last season. Last year that they played together. But yeah, it is kind of interesting how they put it together, because it's not really something that you can kind of put a following on, like an understanding on how they put it, because they'll jump from MJ's rookie year, then later on they'll go to his high school days, and then later on it's his second year, and then later on is, you know, Scottie Pippen's upbringing. So it's just a little all over the place, but you know, we'll see. It's only 2 episodes, so we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's only 2, but yeah. So yeah, that was just something. So like speaking of that, since we're going back and forth, I just wanted to bring up the next part. One of my favorite parts was like his like college years into his rookie year, which was kind of dope, you know. And there, you know, we got to see Dean Smith, Roy Williams, who's still the head coach now, you know, and it was great to see like Michael Jordan. They talked about one of his first biggest shots of his career, like that shot to beat Georgetown in the NCAA finals against Patrick Ewing, of all people, like Hall of Famer. He played with James Worthy, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
James Worthy, and like it was dope to see. Like they were talking about when he came in, and like Michael Jordan would nudge James to play one-on-one, and then James was like, yeah, after like 2 or 3 weeks of playing one-on-ones, Michael Jordan started to get better than him.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of it's you mean hearing things like that, like James Worthy is a Hall of Fame player too. You know, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And like it makes you really think, right? Like I'm thinking about NBA today, just like he was able to get that much better without
Such
all
a
the
short
trainers.
period of time.
Yeah, without the trainers, without, you know what I'm saying? Without like proper nutrition, without like all the science and technology we have now. That's why I think it's so like. That's why, like, looking back on this, it makes me like, yo, this is really crazy. Like, he did this without all the stuff we got now.
Yeah.
You know?
So, yeah, it's because he really didn't start playing competitive basketball till his junior year. Because they said he didn't make his sophomore year.
Yeah, he got cut from varsity his sophomore year.
So he didn't play till.
We'll talk about that when we get to next episode. But like, actually, no, go ahead. We'll just talk about both episodes, man. Let's just go into it. So, like, you go ahead.
So yeah, no, I was just saying how it was like he didn't start playing competitive basketball until his junior year, and you know that literally cut his high school career 2 years short. You know, and I mean, you know, you hear stories like, oh, Tim Duncan didn't start playing ball until high school, but Tim Duncan's 7 foot, so. You know, he's going to draw the eyes of people automatically because he's 7 foot. But Jordan, he was like 6'3", 6'4" in high school. And, you know, it's still a little taller than the average person. But, you know, in basketball height, that's like the guard position. So it was just interesting to see that, you know, through that little time, 2 years, he was able to get a scholarship at UNC. And then 1 year later, becomes the top player in the nation. So it's like a 3 year span.
You're right, 3-4 year span. That's he also. They said you mentioned his growth spurt, right?
Yeah. So yeah. Well. Yeah. What is it?
From sophomore year to junior year, he went from 5'11", they said, to about 6'4".
Yeah. So yeah. So that helped too.
Scottie
Pippen's growth spurt was crazy too.
That one was crazy too. So Scottie was what 6'1" going as a freshman.
Yeah, in college.
As a freshman in college, and then from freshman year to sophomore year, went to 6'6". They said he was 6'5", and then he finished at 6'7".
Yeah.
But that's crazy. You don't hear about somebody growing. Well, the last person we heard of was who? Was it Ben Simmons? Went from like 6'9" to 6'11" between his freshman year in the NBA. I mean, but that's 2 years.
Yeah, I think it was something like that with Ben Simmons. I don't know the exact numbers, but yeah, I do remember he grew his rookie year, the year he sat out, right?
Yeah, so like just thinking about like I guess, and Scottie was about the same age, like 18, 19, 20. but it's kind of crazy. Someone had a growth spurt that late, you know, that many inches that late.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, man. And then so going back to Jordan now, like you said, he went from being a top high school player, which they talked about in the second one. Like he went to because of that growth spurt, the athletic director of their county talked to like Roy Williams, and they were like, oh, we know of him. Then they invited him to the North Carolina camp. And then when he left after like 4 days, they're like, he's the best player in the country, so we got to get him.
Yeah.
That's crazy. They can tell that in 4 days.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just you got to respect the OGs in the game. I think that's what this is also showing. Like Roy Williams has been around a lot and he's seen a lot. And you know, I mean, North Carolina's struggling, but he's still doing a great job there. But like, I think that what it's showing younger cats is just you got to respect, you know, the older players in the game or who've been through it because they've seen a lot. You get what I'm saying? And you know, it's just it is amazing to see his progression. And then the other thing that I really liked was Dean Smith told him after his junior year to go to the NBA draft. He was like,
yeah,
you did everything you could here. Like, you need to move on.
Right, exactly.
He said he wanted to go back for senior year. So
yeah, he did, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. You got to respect the GOAT, like the OG. So, I mean, Dean Smith is no longer with us, but, like, he was one of the good ones in the coaching game, you know. So, and so leading into that, you know, I thought it was dope that that was the time where also USA basketball was still using college players because USA was so ahead of every country in the world. And so, like, when he left North Carolina, he was like the biggest name. And the national team was like another welcoming party for him. And then Bob Knight, here, listen to this. And then Bob Knight said he was the best player he's coached. Like, that's Bob Knight. And Bob Knight's, you know, same thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was crazy to hear how the Bulls were trash when he got drafted. So back to the draft. So you had Hakeem Olajuwon first. Trailblazers had – so everyone was making fun of the Trailblazers, right? But they had Clyde Drexler in his prime. So are you going to really – can we really talk trash about them, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what would you have done? Would you have gotten MJ and have MJ play the 2 and Clyde at the 3? I mean, I don't know. But you also got to think – they weren't thinking like that. They were like, we need a big.
Yeah, they need a big. Yeah, it's the same thing with this draft. I mean, any draft really. People draft what they need. They don't necessarily. Maybe like the first pick or the second pick, they'll draft like the best player just because, regardless. Especially now because it's positionless basketball.
Right.
Like, you know, when we were growing up, like, you know, there's a lot of I remember some of the drafts like. People was like a big man and a guard. You know, with like Portland, Portland had a chance to draft Kevin Durant, but they went with Greg Oden. So
they needed a big.
They needed the big. So it's just like what players need, and you know, you can't tell what a player prospect's career is going to be like. So it's really a gamble. You know, Sam Bowie was a great college player though, from what I know.
Yeah.
So it's not like they just picked up a bum. He just, unfortunately, his career was just injury prone and ridden and everything. So he never became the player that he was supposed to become.
True. That's very true. And like no one knows the future. You never know the future. You know. So I think that probably was the right pick.
Yeah, it was the right pick.
Yeah, at the time he had, and like you said, he didn't have a bad college career, and he was a big man. They needed a big, and they had Clyde Drexler, you know. So it was just like they needed the pieces to fit what they had.
Right, so, exactly.
You know, one of my favorite stories, from this was, you know, his rookie year. The Bulls were like crappy. They were behind a semi-pro indoor soccer league, like, you know.
Oh yeah,
which was
In
crazy.
attendance. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were like, yeah, you got to help us they were like, maybe you can bring us back. And one of the first stories they talked about was how the culture was needed changing. And he sensed that because he was just like, he got there, he was like, he was looking for the leader, and he wanted to take the leader out, or he was like, he doesn't have a voice, so he has to let his play talk.
Right.
And he said they were talking about the third game of the season, playing Milwaukee, and he went off and they won. They were down like 12 after the third quarter, and they ended up winning by like 10. And he said that was his first stripes earned. But the other thing was, my other favorite story was him checking on his teammates, and they were doing like drugs.
Yeah.
And all of that. And he turned that down and was just like, nah, bro, I'm good. I'm here to hoop. And he was like a simple dude, you know what I'm saying? And like, it's hard to turn stuff down. Like, I'm not saying drugs, but like there was women, and like he didn't drink at the time. And it's like, he was focused on what he wanted to be. And like, that's something like I admire so much, just because if you could turn stuff down like that and be focused on the grind, it's going to pay off in the long run, you know?
Right.
And that's just something like and they also said like one of the reporters was like, MJ never took a day off. Like he played whenever he could. Like it was crazy to think that like he was like one of the OGs too, no days off. Like if you looking back on it, you know, it was just crazy. And the other thing that I really liked was the gold chain swag.
No, him wearing gold chain.
Yeah, when he was playing. that was tough.
That's if you see all the pictures back then, you see all that gold chain.
Yeah, I mean obviously you see it when he's in the pictures, but like when he's playing and you see it, it's like that's dope. You know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, the amount of people they got to interview, they brought Obama, Bill Clinton, like some of our favorite presidents, you know. The other story that I thought was funny, or was cool,
those kind of the connection with Bill Clinton was fun.
Yeah, for Arkansas when Scotty was there.
Yeah.
And he said Scotty was gonna be good. And where was I going with this? You know, there's a couple things. So like when they interviewed the kids, they showed the kids, they were like, Santa asked us if we wanted Christmas gifts under the tree or to see Michael Jordan. And they said Michael Jordan. It's just, if you think about that, like a kid saying they'd rather see Michael Jordan and get a tree full of gifts. Like that's the amount of impact he had.
Yeah.
And then the other story, which was funny, was when they went to, I think it was France, right? They won the Euro Cup thing or whatever it was. So MJ was dapping like the other team up. One of the players was like, "Yo, can I get your sweatband?" I just thought that was funny too. That was crazy.
It wasn't anything. They want any piece of him, bro.
Yeah, everybody wanted some. That's like, think about how big of a like star you are.
Remember that scene? I forget. This was like his younger days. I forget where they were, but the reporter was, or maybe I don't know. But the reporter was like putting the mic on him, on Michael Jordan, and he was like, "Oh, can you sign this?" And then like his agent came, "Yo, not right now." And he was like, "Oh, my bad." Yeah.
That's yo, man.
Yeah, that's like he's working right now. He has to be in a professional setting, and he's still asking him. He's trying to get his autograph from Michael.
That's like, I saw there was another one where I saw him like he got interviewed. He said like 2 words and he walked in and the reporter was like, "Yo," he didn't say nothing. His look was like, "I just talked to Michael Jordan." He was just like, "Yo, I just talked to Michael Jordan." Yeah. It's crazy to see that. But yeah, and then I mean, basically like, you know, episode 2 was mainly about Scottie Pippen and That was mainly the first episode. The second episode was kind of talking more about the drama with Jerry, how Scotty and Mike were like literally making fun of Jerry in front of Jerry. And you know, MJ. Yeah, I thought it was mean of MJ, but like he went up to MJ. He went up to Jerry and was like, "Yo," he's like, "What are those pills for? To keep you short and fat, or to keep you short, or to help you lose weight?" And I was like, "Damn, it's kind of messed up."
Crazy, bro. Yeah,
but
it's fun. It was kind of funny to see that. Yeah,
but
because like in the second episode, when they were talking about how they, I guess we'll go into this a little more, but they were talking about how Jordan had the minutes restrictions, and Jerry Krause was like, "You better not play MJ above 1 second above 14 minutes, or he's gonna fire the coach." And I think that they said that was the moment Jordan never trusted the management in Chicago. So it's like that relationship has been rocky since Jordan's second year. So think about that.
It's just like, dude, this is so wild. Like, that bro. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, we didn't talk about the broken foot.
Yeah, he broke. Yeah, so he broke the foot.
Bro, I didn't even know that, bro.
Yeah, I knew that.
You knew that. I didn't know he broke it. I didn't know he sustained a series. And the crazy part was he came back and he could have ended his career if he got hurt again.
Yeah, I didn't know that part. Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, and then the minutes restriction was kind of funny too. It was only 7 minutes a half.
That was I would have been tight. 7 minutes is like nothing. They showed him. He literally was tight. He was just like, he was dumb mad.
In the middle of a free throw. MJ, get out of here.
Yeah. 7 minutes up. Come on. Get out.
Bro, he was tight. That's crazy. If you think about it, that's like a little over half a quarter, a half he can play. Like 7 minutes?
That's
quarters of 12 minutes. It's like, yo, what? That's almost like half a quarter you could play for a full half. And he was like, and then he's just, and then to think, and then to see those like, yo, I just went ballistic those 14 minutes, and then he's just scoring all these things. And then I don't know how many points he averaged that year, but it would be interesting to see, because he was still scoring at a high pace, but he was only playing 14 minutes a game.
That's what I'm saying. Like, imagine what he could have scored, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
He missed a whole year, and he retired twice, right? He would have definitely
he definitely, because if you look up his,
check this real quick.
If you look up his stats, he almost averaged 30 as a rookie.
I just want to see. So he finished with his career 13 years.
Yeah.
13, maybe 12, because he said he didn't play. He retired and he played half a season, right?
Right.
In 13 seasons, he had 32,000, basically 300 points.
Right.
So honestly, he could have. No, 13 seasons with the Bulls. Honestly, if he played without going to baseball and he wasn't hurt and he didn't retire in 98, if he stayed playing, without a doubt, he would have had, I think he would have got to 40,000 points.
Yeah.
Easily. Bro, he averaged 30 points in his his whole career.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. He averaged 30. He averaged 36 and 5 his whole career.
What? That's OD. That's crazy. Like, you put that in perspective, and we saw the clips, like how he was, bro, him hanging in the air. Like, we called him Air Jordan, but like, you see his highlights, but you really, like, now we're like taking more appreciation of like, bro, he was doing this stuff when nobody else could do it. Like, no one else on the planet Earth could do what he did. Maybe Larry Jordan, his brother, because his brother had bounce. But, like, it's just crazy just looking at that. And, you know, his competitive drive was just different. It was different. And, you know, it was evident in the second one when they started 0-4 without Scotty because Scotty got hurt. And then also the $7 million. Can we just talk about that really quickly? Scotty, like, I feel bad. Like, everybody felt bad for Scotty. 7 years, $18 million. The 122nd lowest paid, highest paid player in the league. They said he's literally probably the second best player in the league behind Jordan.
Right.
And he's getting paid 1/18 of what Jordan was getting. Jordan was what, 32 million or 36 million, whatever million Jordan was getting. That's just crazy. And you know, I just felt really bad, but he took the security route because he wanted to take care of, you know, his family.
He had to.
You can't blame that. They were. He said the quote that I heard his brother say was, "We were having so much fun, we didn't even know we were poor."
Yeah.
Like, that's like that was strong. Like, hearing someone say that, like, that doesn't hit home for me because I obviously I didn't. I'm not saying like I grew up rich, but, you know, it was just, and we didn't grow up poor. My parents were working and we were able to have a great, you know, situation and things like that. But, like, you know, seeing, you know, other people go through it, like growing up, my cousins, like, they came from Trinidad and they all lived in like a small apartment in Queens, like 8 of them in like a 2-3 bedroom home apartment. You know, that's a lot of, you know, people, you know, for a small apartment. And you know, they work their tail off. So, like, I can kind of empathize and see, you know, why he did what he did, because, you know, there was 12 of them. His dad suffered a stroke, so he was in the wheelchair for the rest of his life. And then, you know, his brother was paralyzed. His second oldest brother was paralyzed too. You know, so it was just like, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
You know, and it's rare to see that. He was really humble, and I mean, he still is. But...
Yeah, he had to take care of his family. That's I mean, you see that decision happen all the time. That's why some of these kids are going to the G League out of high school. But that's for another episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I brought it up with the interview the other day. I have my opinions on that. We'll talk about. We'll have another podcast this coming week, and we'll talk about it. So basically, you know, Michael Jordan respected Scotty so much. He was like, if you talk about me, you have to talk about Scotty, and he's his greatest teammate of all time. And those are like really powerful words. If you think about it, the amount, like, thinking back on it, it was just like, my favorite teammate of all time probably was Derek Needham, who I'm going to be working out tomorrow. And the reason why I say that, it was just somebody, he was somebody I looked up to, and I tried to work as hard as him, and it pushed me to be better. And when you have somebody like that, and he was a good leader, he was pushing, he was positive. Obviously, he had his times where he blew up in people's faces, but, like, that's what good leaders do. And that's what, you know, I think, you know, MJ was. But you also need a catalyst. You need people who are going to ride and die for you if you're going to be the top dog. And, you know, Scotty was the number one guy, you know. And it's just, you know, like I said, it's just, in our stage in our lives, right, you and me, like, I think we can appreciate stuff like this, or even watching basketball at a highest level, and see it differently than just like just crossovers and things like that, because we know how things work in terms of, like, systems and things like that.
Yeah.
And I just, like I said, I just think that it's an unfortunate situation, but I think that he was really he was a really good teammate, and definitely I'm looking forward to like learning more about it. But we got this is the last thing we got to talk about. Was when Michael Jordan came back from his injury, and they played that stacked Celtics team, bro. Stacked. Larry Bird, Dennis Johnson. Who's the center?
Parrish.
Was it Parrish?
I think it was Parrish because I think
Bill Walton there too?
But I think Bill Walton came off the bench.
But still, that's Bill Walton.
Yeah, it's Bill Walton.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's a super team basically. You had everyone had their roles and they were really good at their roles, and it was just Michael Jordan. I mean, you can't disrespect everybody on his team, but he was the guy who kind of made things go.
Another interesting thing I found, I didn't know Charles Oakley was his teammate. And thinking about it now, all those battles that he had against Oakley when he was on the Knicks, it was kind of funny. But I didn't know that they were teammates, and I didn't even know that they were really good friends. Because if you, those battles with New York, you would think they're enemies. You don't think they don't like each other. So that's another thing that I found that, that was right before the Bulls started becoming relevant.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, they're probably gonna go over that. So we're gonna talk about that in the next episode when we talk about episode 3 and 4 probably, because Dennis Rodman's coming into play. So it's about to get chippy. So they're gonna probably talk about the chippiness. And I think from what we know, like this is why we gotta respect it too. It was so much more physical, and MJ had to literally fight to get buckets.
Oh yeah, they're gonna go over that. The Bad Boy Pistons, what they did to Mike, they're gonna go over that.
Yo, I'm saying like it's gonna. I think it's gonna get good, and it was really good. I mean, just to start.
Well, you young people, when you see those Bad Boy Pistons, I want to know if y'all would still play basketball if they was doing that today.
Bro, y'all be going to the gym, right? If y'all play pickup and you got that one guy in the gym that gets mad after every call and like get in your face, imagine that times 5, because it's all 5 players doing that and they're willing to swing on you. So it's crazy. And like I'm looking forward to seeing that one, but like my two big takeaways for my players out there that I want to go over really quickly, and then we'll wrap it up, was well, let's talk about, before we get into that, I just want to say it was impressive before I got sidetracked. That super team, MJ scored game 1, game 2, 49 points and 63 points. They lost both games, and he got player of the game. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, he averaged 50 during the season. I mean, the series.
That's against Boston Celtics. Like, you got to really think about, like.
And this is when he was still coming off the injury. They just lifted all the restrictions. Imagine if he was doing this.
Yo, That's you gotta, people like you guys, like I hope you guys really take this into like consideration. Like it's unheard of. It's really tough, man. Like I said, I'm a Kobe guy. We're Kobe guys, but like this MJ stuff it's amazing. And so fast forward, that's what I wanted to bring up. Actually, let's bring up one last thing. Sorry. What were your thoughts? Because you're a music buff, man. What were your thoughts about them choosing the songs they chose? So in the first episode, they chose "I Ain't No Joke" by Eric B. and Rakim, for when he was scoring all his points and stuff. And in the second one, they chose, when he was playing the Celtics, they chose "I'm Bad" by LL Cool J. So for you young cats that don't know the work or the music, like those are classic songs in the hip hop game and in the hip hop history.
That's 80s hip hop for y'all. That's I recommend go listen to that. Watching it pumped you up just watching it. You know, he's scoring all those points. You got El Cool J saying I'm bad. You know, it's just that was the hip hop at that time, so it was a good choice. I like the choice of it. You know, I know we're supposed to have a hip hop podcast with basketball, but we'll get to that soon in the future. But yeah, I thought they were good choices. You know, those are two classic songs. You know, I still listen to those to this day. You know, and they get you pumped up, you know, for whatever, for basketball, for whatever, you know. And I was just seeing Jordan score and all that with the music is just, you know, just like with any other thing, you know, with every other hype song, and you see, you know, it gets you hyped up to play basketball, or you're watching highlights and it gets you hyped up, you want to go outside and play. That's the same thing it did. You know, music didn't change. I mean, obviously it changed, but like the feeling you get from the music doesn't change. So that's what you know, that's what I took from that. So I thought it was a good choice, you know. So I'm interested to see what they'll have for the '90s montages.
Oh yeah, Greg. If you guys don't know, Greg's a huge '90s buff. Loves hip hop.
Yeah.
When he produces music, he listens to stuff from like the '70s and '80s, and then he tries to sample. Like he does a lot of stuff with the music, and so he studies it. So like how we study the game, like how I try to do breakdowns. Like I said, like that's how he studies who they sample, tempo, all that stuff. You know, the melody and things like that, and produces, post-production. He does it all, man. So we're looking forward to like being able to talk about that stuff once this stuff is over. But just last thing, I just want to talk really quickly. Two of my takeaways as kids for my younger players, even though like the older players who still hoop, like just to take this into consideration, just so like one, for the younger kids, MJ, he had it. Like it's hard to say it, but like in basketball, scene is much more competitive now. But he got cut his sophomore year for varsity, right? He came home, cried to his mom. His mom was upset too, but like she was a great mom. She said, "Well, if you really want this, you got to go work for it this summer and then show them next year what you're about." And he was one of those guys, and they said his father even said it was like, if you want to motivate Mike, just tell him he can't do it. Everybody is motivated differently. I'm motivated like that. If somebody tells me I can't do something, I want to prove you wrong, but I want to show that I belong there. So for me, I had people say that I couldn't play Division I basketball. So what did I ended up doing? I ended up playing Division I basketball, earned a scholarship, and started. You know, so the whole reason why I bring that up is just because never let someone tell you you can't do something, right? That means if it didn't happen for you right away, it doesn't mean it won't happen down the line. You have to put the work in. So during this time, and when we're still in quarantine and we can't go outside and hoop and things of that nature, if you want to be good, so like I'm talking for some basketball players in particularly, there are ways. I've been preaching this for the past month and a half. There are ways for you to always improve. So that can go from, you know, watching film, dribbling, jump roping, have a ladder at home, or if you don't have a ladder, if you have chalk, go on the street and draw 8 boxes and do footwork off that. Go for a jog. You know, there's things you can do to always improve, and there's the only person that's stopping you is you. And then the last one, and sorry, and just a side note for if I have any parents watching, and like in our society today, or like I feel like a lot of parents are heavily involved with their kids' success and failures. The one thing that I could say I was lucky enough to have was my mom and dad let me fail. And they told me, if you really want it, you gotta show us you want it. You gotta work, and we'll help you the best way we can, but you have to work. You know, a lot of parents would go complain to the AD or something now, and I just think that there's things sometimes you can't control, but like you got to be able to have teach and have your kid, you know, encourage them like it's okay to fail. It's not okay to quit, you know. And then the last thing I would just want to say was what was it? Where is it? So I said that, and so MJ's competitive spirit. Sorry, and this goes to what I just talked about. So Scotty's story, he was kind of like a walk-on, like I was. He was an equipment manager, so all he did was really practice. People got hurt. Luck of the draw, he got a spot on the team, started playing, hooping a little bit, and then like we talked about, boom, started working out, boom, lifting weights, boom, shot. He ended up, once again, sometimes things happen for a reason. He shot up to 6'6", 6'5", and the rest is history. He became, I think he went to D2 NAIA. He didn't even go to the league. Like, he wasn't in the NCAA. So it shows you, if you're good, people will find you. You got, you know, people in the G League, NBA that are from D1s that you never really heard of. Most of the stars come from mid-major schools. Paul George, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, who else? John Morant. Like, I mean, he's a young star, but like, you don't need to go to North Carolina or Duke, or, you know, you just have to go to somewhere, show you could hoop and you can win, and they'll find you. And I think that's what we lose track of. We're like, oh, we always have to pay for the best team, and I just want to be associated, instead of going to somewhere where you can play and improve, and then prove yourself as a winner, as somebody who's willing to get nitty gritty to make it happen, you know? Sorry, Greg, I've been talking for a while.
No, that's okay.
But so I'm just gonna wrap it up with that. You know, just make sure you're like we talked about at the beginning, you're finding ways to improve. You know, Greg's been reading, I've been reading, trying to expand our minds. We're working out. I'm trying to help you guys basketball-wise, mentally, with the game. And I'm trying to put content out like this so you guys have stuff to listen to, right? We're trying to feed your mind and just, you know, keep your mind busy to do things, you know? So, you know, all I can say is, you know, thanks for listening. We're going to do another episode about this, about the MJ stuff, probably next week. Episode 3 and 4, which premieres tomorrow night. And then I have my IG live workout, but you guys probably won't necessarily see the YouTube video in time to see it. But I have live Zoom classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So DM me at Steven J, Steven STEVEN J _23_ or at NDO Training, NDO Training on Instagram to sign up. And you know, like I said, G's working on his music. Once he gets that stuff going, we're gonna dedicate a whole episode to hip hop, and then talk hip hop with him. I'm gonna probably be more of a back thing, just dropping my 2 cents here and there, but he's gonna run that one. And then from there, we're just gonna keep putting out content. That's all I can do, man. So G, what you got?
So yeah, you know, just want to tell y'all, just keep working, just keep grinding. I know it's tough during these times, but, you know, just know when you're not working, somebody else is getting better. So, you know, you want to excel at what you do. Everybody wants to excel at basketball or whatever they do. You know, if you really love it, you want to excel. So, you know, you got to put in that work. You got to put in that work when nobody's looking, nobody's watching over you, nobody's telling you what to do. You got to put in that work. You know, that's how Steve got to where he was. That's how I got better at basketball. That's how, you know, a lot of these stories, you know, like Jordan, he spent a whole summer getting better. Now look what happened. You know, it's probably the greatest of all time. He is the greatest of all time. But you know, you just got to put in that work if you really love it. You know? And it doesn't have to be like, you know, every minute, every hour. doing something so extensive to tire yourself out. You can do other things, you know, like Steve was saying. You can read, or you can you know, just watch film, do whatever, you know. You can always hit Steve up if you don't know what you should be doing. He'll tell you. But yeah, that's what I just want to. That's the message. You know, just, you know, this free time we have right now, you don't know when you're gonna get it back. So you make use of it. You know, don't just let it sit there and just go away without making use of it. So that's my 2 cents for the ending.
That's what I like to hear. All right, fellas. All right. Appreciate
Peace.
everybody who's listening. You know, stay tuned for more episodes on the NDO Podcast. Once again, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud. This video is going to be up on YouTube. And then, yeah, stay tuned for more workouts and more knowledge. We're going to try to keep dropping gems, man. So keep grinding. No days off, man.
Peace.